there seems to be a massive shift in how the biggest platforms are handling privacy around digital ads. What exactly is Google doing here?
Google is hoping that it could find some middle ground or compromise between what it sees as the needs of app makers who are dependent on a massive digital ad industry and consumers who are increasingly interested in having more privacy for their data, a call that's being backed up by regulators. And so under this new proposal, Google is going to prevent app makers from sharing consumer data with one another, tracking across multiple apps, something that happens now, and it's also going to prevent them from sharing this information with third parties.
Adam, AppLovin makes software that helps customers grow their mobile apps. How does what Google is doing here impact your customers, and how does it compare to what Apple has done?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And the Google change, really, we don't know how it's going to materialize over the next couple of years. But when it comes to our business, what's important to note is that we have a little bit of a differentiated model. We have a gaming business that we've scaled over 200 million monthly active users of consumers playing our content, giving us data. And then we've got the advertising platform that's the very fast growing, bigger part of our business, much more profitable part of our business, and why we exist, that utilizes, for the most part, our own data to really deliver the value to advertisers. And it does certainly look like, as regulators in EU first, and then Apple, and then now Google, the privacy world changes. It's going to prioritize companies that have the first party content delivery to consumers. They trade content for data to be able to use that data for advertising and more relevant ads. Is going to be the way the world goes, versus companies just hoarding third-party data to deliver the same efficiency.
So, Nico, does this actually mean that user data will be more protected as a result of what Google is doing, as a result of what Apple is doing?
So in terms of how the system worked for Android users right now, it is true that less of their information will be available to app makers, and Google will only hold topics they may be interested in for 3 weeks. And during that period, they will see ads that are relevant to them. But it's not that these users will not be tracked at all. It's just that there will be guardrails over who's tracking them, how, and what permission they give.
Adam, what's been the impact of Apple's ad tracking policy on you, on the companies that you work with? I mean, we just saw Meta fall out of the top 10 of the world's most valuable companies, in part because of the significant dent that some of these Apple changes have put into Facebook's ad revenue.
Yeah, Apple obviously changed their platform middle of last year, and it was quite disruptive because it was more abrupt than a couple year in the making kind of change. And so the marketing platforms all have to adapt when these changes come. We've been able to execute really well in the past year. Our software business in 2020 did $200 million of revenue. Last year did 670 million, and this year we're talking about over 1.4 billion. So it's a very fast growing software business. And we've been able to persevere through these changes, again, because we focus on getting our own first party data and then monetizing the consumers with a more relevant advertisement, one that is a mixture of behavioral off of the data that we have on our own apps, and then the context, what games they're playing enables us to know what types of things that they're going to be interested in to go download next.
Nico, what is Google's roadmap for these changes? Obviously, we know they're going to happen over time, which is certainly different than what Apple has done.
Yes, part of the reason why Google's process is going to be so gradual is because the company has a vested interest in making sure the digital ad ecosystem remains robust. And so essentially the company is going to be developing an alternative to something called an ad ID, which is a number that allows apps to track you. One user has one ad ID. And so for developers, they will have to find a workaround once Google speaks with them, hears their input, and finds out what that solution should look like. Right now, they're saying that a beta launch of Privacy Sandbox on Android could come as soon as the end of this year. And what they call scaled testing would be in 2023, meaning that they'll test among more users. They have not actually said when it will be fully implemented. And it should be noted, they've previously decided to scuttle initiatives relating to greater privacy on their platforms.
Adam, AppLovin shares opened significantly down today, recovered some of that loss, but still ending the day down more than 6%. What's your outlook for the year, especially given some of these uncertainties and clearly the power that these platforms have?
Yeah, we've got two parts to our business, and one side is gaming that really was built to give consumers content, and in a trade for that free content, get data back to really power that software platform. And when we guided for the full year, we guided to 3.7 billion in revenue against 3.8 billion expected. But the two parts of the business are performing at different levels. We guided the software business up 300 million over consensus, and the gaming business down 400 million beneath consensus. And really, our business is a bit unique and nuanced. We've gotten to the point of so much scale on the gaming side that we're generating enough data to really power our own software in the ways we wanted to. And we've seen that flow out of our numbers, where in 2019, we did 200 million in revenue. And then next year, we're talking about 2 billion. That's 10x over the last 4 to 5 years. And we've been able to do that because of the power of our own first party data. So we're confident with where we are in the marketplace.